So what I want to discuss here is some crazy things, some things that I have seen that God have showed me that prove to me that he exists, that prove to me that he was with me during my hard times, all the bad stuff I went through. Miracles, like I call them miracles because I don't, I can't, it's beyond words what happened, these things that I'm about to tell you. Um, to start off, I'm not crazy. But I did see these. I think a lot of people don't see them because I think God reveals himself to those people that are looking. And if you're somebody that hasn't looked for God, um, you won't. I don't think he'll show himself. You take a leap by faith, you kind of figure out this does sound true, the Bible does sound true. You jump in by faith, and then he proves that your faith was, he vindicates your faith and shows that it's valid. So what I want to discuss here is some crazy things, some things that I have seen that God have showed me that prove to me that he exists, that prove to me that he was with me during my hard times, all the bad stuff I went through. Miracles, like I call them miracles because I don't, I can't, it's beyond words what happened, these things that I'm about to tell you. Um, to start off, I'm not crazy. But I did see these. I think a lot of people don't see them because I think God reveals himself to those people that are looking. And if you're somebody that hasn't looked for God, um, you won't. I don't think he'll show himself. You take a leap by faith, you kind of figure out this does sound true, the Bible does sound true. You jump in by faith, and then he proves that your faith was, he vindicates your faith and shows that it's valid by showing you these things. So let me explain some of the miracles I have seen. This first one, it was back when I was an early Christian, and I was married at the time, and I was living in Colorado, and my ex and I were driving somewhere in the evening, and we were new to the area. I came from California. I moved out there, so I wasn't used to snow or anything. I didn't know that there was like dangers about that or anything. So we were driving, and we drove quite a while, but we ran out of gas, and it was getting late. It was getting dark. There was a snowstorm on the way, and we were like in the middle, literally, of nowhere. Like I don't even know where we were. It was just a road, and there was no cars on this road. It was just kind of a country road out there. So basically, we were just messed up. We were not. We're out of luck, and we're getting ready for the snowstorm to come. We don't have anything in our car, like blankets or anything like that, to prepare for the storm coming. No gas, so we couldn't run the car to run the heater. We were in bad state. Like I don't know that we would have made it had God not intervened. So what happened was we sat down. And I just said, let's pray. That's all we can do. Like, we can't walk anywhere. We can just pray. So we sat and we prayed together for God to help us. Within 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 tops, these headlights come down the street. And we see them getting closer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, let's try to flag them down. And before we could, they had come over to our side of the road and pulled up behind us. And I walk over. I'm a big guy. I think I look kind of intimidating to people. My ex-wife, looks sweet and stuff, but I thought, intimidating to people. So I walk up to the window, and it's this older woman, just a small, older, gentle woman that says, gentlewoman, that says, "Hey, God sent me. He said somebody needed help." So I got in the car and I went to where he told me to go. So, if you can imagine how we felt. Like it was almost like, who needs AAA? Like just ring up God, he'll be right there. So he sent her. She said she was sitting at home watching TV. She told us later, and he had said somebody needs. She's like, I grabbed my car keys, came out. So she drove us down. We got gas, and we went home. That's got to be a true miracle. The another one that I saw, and people could chalk these up to circumstance or coincidence, but I've just seen so many, and I can't even list them all off. But I've seen so many that I have to believe it's God intervening. Another one that happened was my son. I explained earlier in part one that my son had died, and we were having a funeral for him, and it was a summer day or May. It was in May, so it was like a nicer day in Colorado, and we were sitting there beneath a tree, getting ready to bury him, and the pastor or minister was reading some stuff, and I had kind of fallen away from God at that point, but he was reading something about how God. It's some scripture, and I'm sorry, I'm horrible with remembering scripture just because my mind is like shot with remembering things. I don't remember what the scripture was, but it was something about God comforting us and feeling our sorrow at the same time. And as he said that, the minister, this strike of lightning went off. And the minister stopped for a second. He's like, wow. He's like, that's powerful. Like right when I said that. And I'm like, I'm thinking the same thing. And then he started to read again about God feels our sorrow too with us. And it started to pour down rain. So I'm crying. The sky is crying. And as quick as that storm came, it went away. Just after he had read that part, it just disappeared. I mean, it does do that in Colorado, to be honest, but the timing was just amazing. Now you can say I'm looking for things. I get that, but that lightning strike at the time of those words, and the way I was feeling, I was thinking in my head, where is God to help me? Like I started to reach back to God at that point. I had fallen away, and I started to come back to Him. But that's another strange thing that happened to me, and I can't explain it. It's just unbelievable. Other things that have happened that have been pretty wild lately is when I'll pray for money in the morning. I'll wake up and I'll get ready to do something and I'll pray for money because I'm broke, and somebody at church will just hand me $100, or somebody will offer me some money to do some work for them, and it's work that I'm capable of doing despite my disability. It's happened time and time again. It's always when I pray, boom, it just happens. I haven't yet prayed for my $1,000,000, but these small little miracles of just giving me the right amount of money that I need to just get by, and for what I need, it happens like clockwork, and it's just been incredible to see that. There's other things that I'll pray a lot of times to. I don't see a lot of people. I don't get out a lot, but in the morning I might pray that God will allow me to share His message of Jesus' message of the kingdom and stuff with somebody, and share the gospel with them. And I don't think yet that I haven't met somebody that not getting out often. After I make that prayer, I'll see somebody, and then they will bring up God, and I don't even have to find a segue. I'm just able to start sharing, and it's like the Holy Spirit speaks through me. It's incredible. Those are all, those are miracles that I've seen. All these different things with the gas story, and the different things that have happened to me have been crazy. But the vision I'm about to share with you is the granddaddy of them all. It is. I still don't know what to make of it. Let me explain here. About a year ago, I was dating a woman, and we were both Christians, and I had actually come back to God through meeting her in a way. I started to come back to God while spending time with her. I wasn't completely back. I mean, I was still not living obedient to God, but I was starting to come back, and I was reading the Bible, and I was kind of going through the motions and getting psyched up to one day make changes in my life. But one day I was sitting in my room, completely sober, just thinking, processing the day or whatever, thinking, and I was looking off. I have these black curtains that hang up, and I was looking at them, just kind of staring at them, and all of a sudden I saw this vision, this picture. And I can't really describe it. It's the weirdest thing because I can't describe it now, but I saw something, and it was me working a miracle, like Moses, when Moses threw the staff down and it turned into a snake, or one of those miracles, parting the Red Sea. It was some kind of a thing that God showed me I would do for him, but I immediately forgot what it was. It was the weirdest thing. And so I'm just sitting there kind of thinking in my head and talking to God, saying, God, you got the wrong guy. That can't be real. That can't really happen. And a side note here, it's funny because people at church call me Moses with the beard. So it's not Jesus. They don't call me Jesus with the beard. They call me Moses because it's gray and I look like an old man, which I am. So that's all good. But so this vision came and it showed me working some kind of miracle for God, and I'm saying to God, you have got to be kidding me. There's no way. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not good. But he kept telling me, yes, it is you. And I was definitely talking myself out of it, and saying this can't be true. This could not happen, and you wouldn't choose me to do this. Well, while I'm thinking that, and while I'm saying that to myself, my girlfriend at the time texts me, starting out with gosh, oh my gosh, I just had a vision. She's like, it's my first vision I've ever had. She's like, my mom has them, but I've never had one. I've always wanted one, and I just had one, and it was about you. And I still have the text saved. I won't read it to you, but it was basically saying that she had this vision of it was me. I was wearing an all-white suit, with my hair was still long. It was just long and black, she said. And I had a huge smile on my face. I was super happy, and I was walking up these stairs. There was a bunch of people around. I was walking up to like this orange glowing globe of some sort, and she just realized all of a sudden, she heard it in her head, and she said it like verbally, Grady is going to do something amazing for God. And she was 100% sure of it. And hearing that, I became, there's no way, like whatever you might say, consciousness or something, there's no way that I could see something and have an idea that something's going to happen, and be debating it in my head and saying, no, this can't happen, and then have somebody write you to confirm from God that they just saw something that says it's true. So that's incredible to me. If you're not saved by Jesus Christ, if you're not, then I mean, you got to think about that story. That's got to roll around in your head, because that is crazy. And it did change my path, I believe. I've made a lot of changes because of that vision. It still sits in my head, and I still do have my doubts, but God will reconfirm it. Every time I start to have doubts, some way He'll show me again that, no, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking, I don't know what it is I'll be doing, but I know this happened about a year ago, and I know my life has changed dramatically since then. It has changed to where I have done things now like that I would never think I would have done. I've given up weed, I've given up alcohol, I've given up cigarettes, I've given up, I'm a no-fap. And just the things I have changed, the way I'm speaking to God now, fasting, leaning on God. My growth with God has just been incredible since that vision. And, it might be because He gave me that vision that I've done this, but whatever the case, and whatever reason I've gone down this path, I have grown so much. And He's put somebody else in my life now that I'm close to, that's a woman that is like amazing as well, and she's always inspiring me and always supporting me to do things for God. So along with other friends I've met people. He has put people in my life that I know are there for a reason. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I am pretty strong in faith. I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. I am pretty strong in faith that it's going to happen, because just the way that vision happened, and then my ex-girlfriend writing me right after that and having the same vision, her first vision ever. She's never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. I've got to believe it's going to happen. So stay posted, because there may be something amazing on this channel one day. Anyways, I wanted to kind of switch it up. That was my vision story. I wanted to tell you that. I did want to switch it up and talk about a couple other topics. One thing I wanted to talk about, just because with the last girl I was with, I believe she was a soulmate, and there's people I've met in my life, somebody in my life right now that could very possibly be a soulmate. I think 3 times I've had soulmates. And I don't believe that you can only have one soulmate. I believe that you can have people that you're like super connected to, that understand you, that can read you like, a book, and know you and understand you. And I think I've experienced that 3 times, where it's this deep, connected love. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts. If you believe in soulmates, if you've ever had that kind of love, if you think it can happen. I know it's happened for me, a few times now. So I fully believe it can happen. And I'm just curious if anybody else has experienced stuff like that. There's stuff, about like twin flame type stuff that you could look up. But it's happened to me, and I'm a fan of love. So that might be part of the reason. But man, I believe soulmates. I believe there's the right person for you, and I believe you can have a few that are exactly right for you. And I think you meet them when you're not looking. It just happens. It's weird. What I'm doing is I'm kind of bringing up topics that I'm curious about, that I kind of want to discuss, but also that I want to hear your thoughts on. Just something that kind of, I don't know, I'm just curious about what other people think about this stuff, or what experiences other people have had as well. So it's not all about me. I don't want to, I'm curious to hear anytime I talk about a topic, what your thoughts are on it. So if any of these topics strike you, please comment below and tell me what you think about it. But what I also want to talk about was dates from hell. And was wondering if you've ever experienced dates from hell. I used to, I've gone on dating apps. I don't know if you guys have ever tried that, and if you have, I'd like to hear your story there. But I went on dating apps, and that's usually where the dates from hell start out from. One that comes to mind was, it was one of my first meetings with somebody, and I get so nervous about it that being in a social situation and meeting a new girl and this and that after you talk to him for a little while, that I decided I would drink, get my courage from the alcohol. So it was back when I was drinking, and I drank quite a bit. And I see the date from hell wasn't her; it was me. I was the date from hell. So we went to. She came to get me, and I'm like, I have no money, and so we went up to. She was like, well, I'm hungry, so we went to a Mexican restaurant out here, and she was looking for something to eat. And I'm like, I'll just chill. And I'm like, actually, I'm like, will you give me a glass of wine? Totally rude, but I was just, I was pretty drunk, so she did actually buy me a glass of wine. So I sat there and we talked while she had her meal, and then as we were leaving, I vaguely remember, because at this point I was pretty well lit up, I vaguely remember somebody taking a family photo out front by the fountain and me jumping in the back going, "Hollow," whatever I yelled, um, as this girl was watching. And then we hung out for a little bit more. She drove me home. Somehow my belt had come loose, so as I got out of the car, to exit out the passenger door, my whole ass crack, everything was there on display to end the date. Hey, good night, peace out. Horrible date, like horrible, worse, because it was me. It was all me that did it. But she actually, she said we don't want to see each other again. But actually, years later, she wrote me again and said, let's try that again. So we didn't, but that was one date from hell, and that was completely me. Another one that comes to mind was not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago, and I'd met somebody online through another dating app, and she lives out in Malibu, California, right on the beach. She lives like literally right on the beach, but it's a little bit of a drive from here, maybe 30, 40 minutes. So we kept kind of setting up when she could come meet me, and we talked a little bit. And she just said, well, let's have a coffee date. So we went, and she came and grabbed me and went over to Starbucks and just sat and talked. And I remember thinking, wow, it's Valentine's Day. Like, I thought I was going to be alone today. And we ended up going on this little mini date just to get to know each other. And she was pretty forward about it. She said, look, I would like you to just come out and stay at my house for a weekend in Malibu. And she showed me pictures. It's overlooking the ocean. It's amazing. So, and she seemed cool. Like, I'm like, right on. This girl seems cool. She's got a cool rocker vibe. Like, let's do this. So, I take some big risk, I guess. So I said, yeah, I do that. So I don't drive. She had to come pick me up, and she took me out to her house. And amazing house. She cooked me an amazing dinner, just like gourmet style food. Or actually, the first night we got sushi. Next night she cooked for me, but she was amazing in that way. And she was even talking about me moving in already. Like, she started really jumping fast, and I said, well, let's just date. Like, let's just do that. But she was talking about what she could do for me with my disability, how she could help me, give me a car, get me some work, start having, and then move in with her and live with her. She could pay all the bills, but she just was trying to help me rebuild my life. So I thought, man, this girl's amazing. But I had posted some photos on Instagram of the back of her house and looking out at the beach and on the patio and just going like, this is so amazing. I didn't even talk in it, actually. Well, she lost it. And the next morning when she saw that stuff on Instagram, she lost it, and she went and she started just going crazy, writing, you might want to mention this as your girlfriend's house. You might want to this. You might want to that. And just came out like fuming at me. Like, I'm like, I didn't even think to mention that. I don't get that personal on my Instagram. I usually just take pictures and leave them, maybe write a little bit of poetry with it, but I don't do a whole lot. So she got like off the hook crazy. And as it finally calmed down and she finally mellowed out, she's like, well, it just means that I really care about you. And I was already saying, you know what, like, this is done. So this was like Saturday morning. She was my ride home. I think I stayed another night. But by Sunday, I had already made up my mind. Like, this is bad. Like, she's a very jealous person. And we went out, one evening, and I could just tell there was just a lot of things she was doing. She was very jealous. She admitted she was jealous. And her last boyfriend had cheated on her. So anytime I would look at my phone to check if I had a text message or anything, because I keep it on silent, she was freaking out, thinking I was on social media or something, or talking to a girl. So it was just so much trouble. But it started out like such a nice date, and just in flames. I didn't tell her we were done. We were done until she brought me home. And then she had planned for me. She wanted me to come out the next weekend to meet her children and stuff. So I already I broke it off then when she started asking that. It was like maybe Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, look, I don't think this is gonna work, and she got really upset. But that was a date from hell. It moved so fast. I was just kind of caught up in everything, and I'm like, maybe this person's a soulmate. It was February 14th, of Valentine's Day, and she seems cool, and she's helpful and she's caring, but she was, and she was also very jealous. So that ended quickly. But those are two dates from hell that I've had. Another date I had, and this is like a better one. Like this isn't a crazy one. I do some crazy things. Like if you're thinking like, wow, this guy just went out and hung out with a girl after meeting her for a coffee date and stayed at her house. That's not even the upper limit of it. I was friends with a girl on Facebook. I've met a lot of women through social media, and I was friends with a girl on Facebook there, and she lived in Florida. And I was sick. I was disabled and stuff, but we talked, and she asked me if I would come out and stay with her and meet her. And I'm like, huh, like I knew her, but not extremely well. We had never spoken on the phone, um, and it was like coming out for a week to Florida, like the other side of the country. So um, I talked to my friends, and they're like, you're nuts, don't do it. But I decided to do it. She bought me a plane ticket. She got us a room at the W Hotel there in Fort Lauderdale, and I went, and I did not know what to expect. I mean, I got off the airplane after only having seen pictures of her online, and was like looking around, going, "Is that her? Oh no, is that her?" And when I saw her, I was like, "Wow, like okay, she looks like her pictures," and she was fun. I had the time of my life out there. Actually, it was a great time. Unfortunately, the distance, we couldn't continue anything just because it was with my limitations in money, and it didn't continue on. But it was it's crazy to think I flew across to Florida, met a girl, stayed with her in a hotel room for like 3-4 days, and thankfully it turned out really well. If it was the Malibu situation, that would have been bad because I was on the other end of the country, and I was staying in a hotel for a longer period of time. So I'm very grateful it turned out well. So yeah, I'm kind of talking love here right now. I guess if you want to comment any of your stories, I'd love to read them. I like talking about this kind of stuff. So yeah, make some comments below if you've had some bad dates, if you've had some good ones, some crazy things you've done maybe. I'm all ears for that stuff. So speaking of social media, I used to be a huge person on social media, like crazy about it. I guess YouTube is kind of a social media, but I'm talking more Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, I would check it all day long. It was just that was my social life. I was bedridden, but I could interact with people. I thought it was pretty amazing. And then Instagram came along, and I discovered I really like taking photographs, and I was able to take photographs and share it with people, and I was also able to write like some poetry with that photograph to share with people. So I really enjoyed that. I met a ton of cool people. Like on those apps, you get people to just DM you, just drop a line in your inbox or whatever. And I met some really cool people. A lot of people that are still friends now I've met through social media. But what I kind of did was I kind of backed away from it, Facebook, and stopped going over there because it got too political for me, to be honest. I have a lot of Democratic friends, I have a lot of Republican friends, and it was just so much fighting. Not that I'm going to say what side I'm on, but I'm just saying there was just so much anger and so much fighting around Donald Trump time. So I just kind of backed out of there, went over to Instagram. There was no political stuff. It's just pictures, happy things to look at. And I've recently just changed my feed to on Instagram, where I'm over on more often. I changed my feed to only show like good stuff. I don't want to see crazy stuff. I don't want to see stuff that's going to depress me. Just give me positive stuff. Give me stuff that's going to help me grow. So I don't use Instagram even that much anymore. I've kind of backed away from that. I used to be like a daily user, but now I'll go a few days without going on it, and then maybe in spurts. But I do post on there more often than I do on Facebook. I'm very rarely on Facebook anymore, which kind of sucks because I knew what was going on with friends. But I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on social media as well. If anybody's been able to quit, like somebody that used a lot and was able to like cut it cold turkey, that's my dream right there. It's just to be able to get away from it all. But I would miss my friends. I feel like I'm missing out on what's going on. But even Facebook, I've pretty much done that with. Just Instagram now is my hook, and hopefully YouTube is not the same way. I think I'm just making videos and sharing. I don't know if it's as much social media. I love commenting to people on here. It feels realer because I'm able to share like real things with people in more depth. I'm not just like resharing some meme or something. It's actually something new and fresh. So I do like YouTube. I like this format. I mean, in this format too, it's kind of almost like reality TV here. I'm not doing much, but I'm just kind of expressing what my life has been and things about my life. I'm curious if you guys would want to see more of like outside. Like in my video, I did a video about the earthquake that we had out here, and I thought about interviewing my friend that was in the video and asking him like what he felt, blah blah blah, and using that and splicing that and editing that. And I'm curious if you guys would like to see that, because I know most of my time is spent in this chair just telling stories. I don't know if that's just okay, or if you guys think it could be improved if I brought other people in, perhaps. Um, just here and there, maybe if I'm able to talk to somebody and get their feedback to add in as well. Uh, any ideas you guys might have too about what I'm doing and ideas of how I could do it better, I would love to hear. Maybe setting up something behind me that was more, I don't know. I mean, I have this light that I change colors with every time I make a video, but I think it's kind of losing its luster. It's not as great. So maybe I could do some different things, get some outside footage. I'd be curious on your guys' perspective on that. But what I was thinking about discussing next week is ghost and like supernatural things, crazy things that have happened to me that I've experienced. I discussed the vision here, which was crazy, but I have also experienced some crazy stuff. I was into the occult, unfortunately, and I've just had some very weird experiences that I want to talk about next time. So I hope you will tune in for that. This concludes the video. If you enjoyed it and you aren't already subscribed, please do so. Likes and comments are much appreciated because they help me personally by saying, all right, somebody's into this. Plus, they help me, I think, get a better rating with YouTube. And also, I do have a Patreon account. If you could support me through that, I would be very much, very appreciative for that. That would be great because that helps me out a lot. So, okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Until next time.